Hello, I'm Eric Snodgrass, and thank you for watching today's Ag Forecast brought to you by Nutrien Ag Solutions, your premier platform for real-time global insights. Well, now that the severe weather event on Sunday is 4 days behind us, we can take a look at the filtered storm reports where duplicate storm reports are removed from the data set. We're still sitting at 706 separate reports of severe weather, but it's those red dots I want you to pay attention to here, because in total, Sunday's severe weather outbreak added 111 separate reports of tornadoes. And as of early this morning on Thursday, I was able to get reports from the National Weather Service indicating at least 3 of these were EF4 in strength, producing that level of damage. Adding 111 reports, though, to our daily count now puts us back above average for this time of year. And just remember, we are right now just at the beginning of the most active time period of the year in terms of tornado activity, which will run to the beginning of July being the most active, okay? Some pretty amazing stories have come out of this. This was from Mississippi. Widely shared photos here of a home that was completely wiped out except for the safe room that was in the center of it. And it's an incredible story if you get a chance to read about it or hear that story about the family that sheltered in there and their lives were spared because of this. And also I want to thank Molly for tweeting out this picture. This was in Upson County, Georgia, where the tornadic winds actually blew this home off of its foundation, just slid it across the road here. Incredible to see that. And many of us in meteorology were quite amazed to do this yesterday. This was a snapshot of 3 separate swaths from one of our low Earth orbiting high-resolution satellites called MODIS. And if we were to zoom in here on the lower Mississippi River Valley, which had a clear day yesterday, we can actually see from space right here one of the scars left across the south here from the tornadoes. So this one in particular was measured at 3/4 of a mile wide. You can see the delta down here of the lower Mississippi River Valley, and this one just cut a path here through the trees in parts of southern Mississippi. What an incredible event we witnessed here this last Sunday. But remember, we are on that time of year where severe weather frequency is increased just given the fact that it is spring. Now, what isn't spring-like is the temperatures we've been enduring for the past several days. So behind that system, things have really cooled off. And I want to show you a series of maps that are going to talk about the hours spent below certain temperature thresholds. So this map shows you the total number of hours spent below 32 degrees Fahrenheit. Now, it's from the 12th through the data on the 15th. But any color you see here, I just stopped my color bar at 48 hours. So this is the number of hours spent below freezing. Zooming in on this region, we can see that parts of Texas and Oklahoma, getting over into Arkansas, Missouri, some locations in through here spending quite a bit of time below freezing. In the Mid-South, specifically parts of Kentucky and Tennessee, getting some very uncharacteristically cold air that is in place. Now, if we slide a little bit lower in temperatures, take a look at this. This is the map showing you the number of hours spent below 25 degrees Fahrenheit. And this is substantial, especially for wheat growing areas in the midsection of the United States. We can see here that, again, from the 12th through the 15th, this region right here in central Kansas saw between 3 to 9 hours of time spent below 25 degrees Fahrenheit. And of course, those hours increase the farther to the west that you go when looking back over this 3-day time period. So this was a pretty substantial snap of some colder air that we've been dealing with. And take a look at what it did to soil temperatures. Now, these are modeled soil temperatures at 4 inches depth. So this was before all of this went through. Last Thursday, 7 a.m. soil temperatures at 4 inches, and this is now the way things look. So you can see we've dropped temperatures off dramatically across much of the central and eastern Corn Belt. We now see a lot of the northern plains getting back toward the front range of the Rockies in the Great Lakes states here, showing us below freezing soil temperatures at this point. Now, we also got some light snow out of this across parts of the country. So just looking back over the last 72 hours of total accumulated precipitation in terms of snowfall here, a lot of light snow spreading here across the United States. And there were a couple of interesting pictures that floated around. Let's start on the left here. In Chicago yesterday, just 1 to 2 inches of snow came through and unfortunately caused a large pileup here in Chicago. And over there on the right, this was back on the 14th. I want to thank Joe for posting this picture showing what the snow looked like in and around. He lives very close to like Amarillo, Texas. You can see the snow sitting on top of his wheat here. So I don't know if there was any damage or if that was laid down by the weight of that snow, but certainly very unseasonably cold air in place. And we're still dealing with it today in addition to some more wintry weather. So I labeled our all hazards weather map here for us. We can see the winter weather advisories and the winter storm warnings that stretch from parts of Colorado, Wyoming, through parts of Nebraska, over into the border here between Iowa and Missouri, and then into northern Illinois. We have freeze warnings out across that. I mean, that's going to mean widespread temperatures for hours below 32 degrees Fahrenheit across parts of the Ohio Valley and also parts of Kansas. Frost advisories out for a significant portion of the Mid-South over toward the Mid-Atlantic. Frost advisories, by the way, mean that there could be patchy frost in low-lying areas. And taking a quick glimpse here at temperatures as of 4 a.m., we can see over here in parts of, the parts of Virginia and North Carolina where our temperatures were slowly bottoming out here in the lower 30s. But overall, when you look at this temperature map, it looks at least a lot better right in through this area than it had been looking over the last few days. Now from here, what will help those temperatures continue to bottom out is take a look at the early morning wind speeds. Now why we're not worried about the frost so much into this section of the country again is look at the stronger winds coming out of the south. But over here, very light winds combined with what we have right now, which is very clear skies in that area. In fact, here's the cloud shield here cutting through parts of South Carolina, but you can see it's cloud-free, nice clear early morning here, and also in parts of the Ohio Valley is going to help those temperatures bottom out. But what we need to talk about is what's brewing right here in the Rocky Mountains and where that one's going over the next 36 hours or so. So the upper levels of the atmosphere is where we need to begin. And this is the short wave we're going to keep a close eye on right in through here as it pulls out into this stronger jet stream flow that's right now quite zonal across the United States. And it's going to be spreading snow from, again, Wyoming through Nebraska into the border of Iowa, Missouri, and over into Illinois. What we're going to watch after that are these two waves. This one here and this one here kind of coming together slowly through California and then increasing not only the precipitation chances, but again, the chance for more strong storms across the south as we progress through this. And look at the nose of this jet coming here across the Pacific Ocean. We're going to watch this wave right here into next week coming through the center part of the United States, giving us increased chances of precipitation yet again. So with all that to talk about, let's go ahead and just run our high-resolution NAM model here and take a look at that snow spreading across parts of the central United States over toward the eastern Corn Belt. Stepping it back, this was from in the overnight hours into early this morning. This is 7 o'clock this morning. We can see that snow spreading from Wyoming into northern Colorado and then into Nebraska. And out ahead of it, we're going to watch a very interesting transition late this afternoon and this evening. It appears to be maybe one or two counties south of the Missouri-Iowa border here where that snow line is going to be. And because of the high liquid water amounts that's in this, we could get quite a bit of snow out of this. I'll show you the amounts in just a few moments. That spreads this evening over into parts of Illinois, and then rain to the south of it, as you can see here. So it's going to be right here. If you just followed that border straight across Illinois, that seems to be where the rain-snow line is going to be as we work our way into early Friday morning. Now we're up to sunrise on Friday morning. Getting into Friday midday, you can see the rain spreading through southern Indiana, but the snow in northern Indiana and southern Michigan. And then that system pulls on off to the north and east where we could get some snow in the interior parts of New York. But to the south of it, along the main front here, we do have just rainfall, cold rain spreading down into where the Ohio and Mississippi rivers meet. So that system pulls on out of there, and that's kind of it as we get our way into early morning on Saturday. So to take a look at how much snow we are anticipating, this is from the National Digital Forecast Database. It is following the European model pretty closely. And the one area that we've seen a pretty sizable increase in snowfall forecast is right in here. So the model's really keyed on this over the last 12 hours, potentially increasing the snowfall amounts here. Well, the winter storm warning is for 6 to 9 inches in that area. So be on the lookout for that snow there, but certainly spreading back across parts of Nebraska into Wyoming and Colorado. And we might even get some down in parts of Kansas as well. So that's our snow swath spreading here over the next couple of days. Well, really about the next 36 hours. And from there, I want to show you now what we're anticipating over the whole of next week. Now, if there's a place that's going to show up on the drier side of things, it's going to be basically from the Canadian prairies in through the northern prairies of the United States. We see that that is one region that is really out of the main flow of the jet stream in the coming days. Where things are going to pick back up again will be here initially and followed by another system moving into the midsection of the country. And all of these are going to come through the west first. So let's just go right to our operational European model run. This is the 0Z run. We've seen through this point, so we'll just stop it right there. Saturday midday, big area of higher pressure pulled through the central part of the United States, and this is going to begin a bit of a warm-up here for the midsection of the country. I'll show you those temperatures in a few moments. But what I want you to pay attention to is that by Saturday night, getting into Sunday morning, what we're going to be watching here is down here in south central part of the United States. So we can see that working our way through the day on Sunday, this is now Sunday afternoon and evening, we could be on the lookout here on Sunday evening for some strong to severe thunderstorms here in parts of the southern United States, really in the Delta region. This now pulls to the east by the time we get into Monday morning. So there it is, that low pressure center over now sitting in North Carolina. And that is just the first of 2 rounds of heavy rain I'm anticipating this weekend into early next week. So that pulls on through the mid-Atlantic by Monday afternoon and evening. And again, we do need to be on the lookout for some stronger thunderstorms across this region as we look into early next week. Meanwhile, a little clipper system running on the northern side of this is cutting across Lake Superior and heading toward the northeast. And that was going to increase wind speeds here and bring in some rainfall into Michigan on Monday night into Tuesday morning. So some stronger winds in there. But our next system is now pulling through California. This is, again, in the overnight hours on Monday into early Tuesday morning. So California, we're not yet done with our precip, and we could see that from Monday into Tuesday and increased chances of precipitation again. What's coming through California and then eventually coming out here into the Central Plains by next Wednesday is that wave that I showed you that was on the nose of that jet way over there by off the Aleutian Islands. And this is now Wednesday night. Again, we're going to watch out for the chance for some strong, possibly severe thunderstorms in this section of the United States from Texas up into Oklahoma. You can see, look at the isobars running straight north-south. That's pulling that wind and that moisture straight out of the Gulf of Mexico. And so this is next Wednesday night, getting into the overnight hours on Wednesday into early Thursday morning, spreading that system through parts of the south. The northern edge of the rain may clip into the parts of the Corn Belt here, but the potential for very heavy rainfall and also some strong to severe storms exists with this one as it pulls again through the southern part of the United States. So that's the next couple of systems that are coming through the United States as we look out about 9 days here. To go beyond that, I want to show you the operational European model. I do believe that the GFS is a bit too amplified, and I don't want to show that at this point. But if there is a place that over the next couple of weeks does see some drier conditions, I think it's going to be right in through here. And with the warm-up I'm about to show you, we're going to be able to see, I think, some field work making progress in this section of the country. Unfortunately, as we look out exclusively into week 2, we notice that this section of the United States is back on again for the wetter than average conditions as another trough pulls through there, pulling on that Gulf moisture and just streaming it straight here toward the north and east. Also, a bit of a change in the week 2 forecast for the Pacific Northwest as more systems keep coming down out of the Gulf of Alaska, keeping precipitation chances above average in coastal Oregon and Washington, as again we look out toward the last week here of the month of April. What are we adding this to? We're adding it to this map. So where you saw all that heavy rainfall in week 1 and week 2 is going to hammer a region that over the last week has already seen an excess amount of precipitation. So that's going to continue to increase our flooding threat here and slow down the progress of the cleanup and also slow down the progress here of getting things planted. Now, speaking of water, and I alluded to this yesterday in the long-range outlook, I want to talk about the GRACE data set, which is shallow groundwater drought indicator. Now, when we look at this particular map, we're going to go away from the United States for a moment, because what we've noticed is, as we've worked our way through April, we've now seen parts of Europe and China. We're going to talk about South America as well, but Europe and China showing up very, very dry. Comparing the GRACE, now that GRACE-based measurement, the G stands for gravity. So this is a satellite technique where we're measuring fluctuations in gravity to understand how groundwater is changing. We can see that stretching, well, basically from parts of eastern France all the way through the Black Sea region, so getting over here toward Ukraine, soil and groundwater anomalies are very, very low. And we've matched that up, if you look over here on the left, with the CPC gauge data showing that a big section of Europe is on the drier side of things. Now, some new model data suggests that this section of Europe could see near average to above average precipitation in May, but at this particular stage, we're dealing with some dry conditions which may be affecting maybe the winter wheat in parts of Ukraine, and this may affect early planting of some of the crops in this region as well. So keep an eye on it with me. Over the next 10 days, we do see this area dry before we get into May. So that's a continuation of the drier pattern. And frost risk, as I talked about yesterday's long-range update, is still a major factor here when you go into parts of eastern Germany, Poland, getting over into Ukraine, and then this whole region up in here is definitely going to be seeing a late season frost here in this part of Russia. So I want to give you that update globally about what was going on here in Europe. But let's come back to our pattern as it evolves with temperatures. We see that as we get out into day 10, the biggest change is we've lost the deep trough that was anchored here over the Hudson Bay, which was keeping us so very cold. So the troughs that are coming through, like the one you see here out at day 10, is not going to be bringing in with it or ushering in extremely cold weather. I do still see of active North Pacific, which means storm systems are going to keep coming through. But look at this big ridge pivoting over parts of Greenland while this trough tries to cut underneath it. That is going to be key to watch in terms of the pattern as we get into May. But it appears that most of the cold air by the time we get out into day 10 has now pivoted over to the other side of the planet here. So what does it do to temperatures? Let's just take a look at it. Remember this map, the numbers show you the forecast. The color coding shows you the difference from normal. So these are maximum temperatures, and if we play this forward, we see that Friday's still cold, but Saturday, getting into Sunday, Monday, Tuesday, and Wednesday of next week, temperatures definitely begin to moderate here. And you can go back and watch that again to get some of the individual numbers. So there's certainly some moderation coming in as we finish this week and get into next weekend, or get into this weekend, excuse me. So day 6 through 10, this is when that trough is pivoting. Notice the GFS keeping the cooler weather slowly moving through the Canadian Maritimes. Look at the warm up that we're forecasting now for the Canadian prairies getting into the northern part of the United States. And as we go out even farther than that, this is now getting into the very beginning of May. We do see that while the West Coast is going to be seeing warmer than average conditions for at least the next 10 to 15 days, we have finally relaxed that temperature pattern over the eastern half of the United States, and both models are picking up on that. So in between storm systems, I expect fieldwork to really, really ramp up on these warmer temperatures because at this point, we're not seeing any indicators of major cold returning that could be impactful, especially as you get into the southern part of the Corn Belt over to the eastern Corn Belt. So to finish this up, I want to show you what's going on in South America. Looking over there, the GRACE data on the left and the SMAP, that's another satellite technique to measure soil moisture. Our main story has been what's happening in southern Brazil. So this is southern Mato Grosso, moving through Mato Grosso do Sul, and then through Parna and Rio Grande do Sul, where things have been very, very dry. And look at the forecast. The operational European model has a donut hole right there over Brazil's southern growing regions, including Paraguay and parts of Argentina. And even as we look out into week 2, the latest model update is still keeping that region dry while bringing in more beneficial rain to parts of Argentina. So our main story as yields begin to get eaten away here is coming out of South America, is coming specific out of Brazil's southern growing areas. Okay, we're going to wrap it up here. Hope you all have a great weekend. Look forward to giving you more updates next week. Have a good one. Thank you.